Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. The first video of 2026 is going to be the updated governor's prediction. It's been a few months since I did this, and not a whole lot has changed. It's just still too early. Primaries are going to be starting to come up soon, but we'll still take a stroll through most of the states and see what we've got. Now, I expect the national environment to favor the Dems at least a little bit. Could be a blue wave, could be something more mild. And of course, the states and the candidates are going to matter. Now, let's start with the safe states. These are expected to be a 10% margin or are otherwise not competitive. We'll start with the Dems. First, we've got Hawaii. Then on the West Coast, it's California. It's a top 2 primary state, and I have seen one poll with 2 Republicans in the lead, but I don't think that's at all going to hold up for the general election. Their Dems should be heavily favored, even if Republicans make some gains. Next, we've got Colorado. Then after that, it's Illinois. Those 2 states, Republicans are just in such a weak position that it's likely Dems win them comfortably. Then on the East Coast, it's Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Maryland. I took Connecticut from likely up to safe this time. We've got Ned Lamont running for a 3rd term. It's borderline. You could put it at likely, but I'm going to put this one at safe until I get some more information. One more state here that is going to go from likely up to safe. That is New York State. This one was also always borderline for me. I think the state seems primed to go back to the left with Trump in the White House. Plus, Elise Stefanik has dropped out. Republicans are pretty much down to just Bruce Blakeman at this point, even though I don't think Hochul is a strong candidate at all. She's going to be the resistance. I'd say this one is more likely than not to be over 10 at this point. Next, we'll do the safe states for the Republicans. We've got Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama. All those safe states on both sides. Could something happen where they get under 10? Yeah, there's always a surprise in the mix. Maybe Doug Jones in Alabama gets that down to 7 or 8. Maybe Republicans get something going on in Illinois and Pritzker wins by only 8 or 9. All of that not at all impossible, but we'll see what happens. Next, let's do the likely states. These are 5 to 10 point margins or are semi-competitive. Let's start with the Dems. In the Northeast, we've got Maine. This is an open seat. Janet Mills is out. The primary field for the Dems is overflowing at this point. Republicans also not clear who the nominee could be. There's even a Bush family member in the mix. But considering the usual dynamics, this one should be over 5 points for the Dems. The next state is Rhode Island. Governor Dan McKee, he's not popular whatsoever. Who knows how he does after the Brown shooting, but he does have to get through a primary. It seems like he'd be more likely than not to lose that primary, given his reception in the state. But on the other side, do Republicans really have anything going on here? I don't think so. But the confidence level here, I think, is just enough to keep this into very high single digits, and it's going to go likely. Next state, we've got Pennsylvania. Of course, this is Josh Shapiro. He's popular. Republicans have Stacey Garrity as their potential nominee. She's not a terrible candidate, but this year should favor the Dems. Shapiro's going to get it likely. Let's keep going west. Let's stop in Minnesota. Now, this is an interesting state. A lot of news here about Tim Walz the past month or so. He's running for a 3rd term. I would imagine his popularity is going to take a dip, but he's only going to be as weak as his opposition is strong. And on that side, Republicans could be looking at Mike Lindell as their nominee. Now, it's way too early. There's a bunch of other candidates in the mix. So because of that, I can't really change my rating here. So I'm not going to go down to leans. I can't put it at safe either. It's going to stay at likely. In the Southwest, it's New Mexico. Easy call here, an open seat, a moderately blue state. Dems should be able to hold it, probably with Deb Haaland. The last state here is in the Northwest. It's Oregon. Another fairly blue state, but governor's races here are not known for their landslides. Republicans have Christine Drazan running yet again. She got close last time, but couldn't get over the hump. Either way, this one is going to be high single digits. It could go safe. There's a chance it gets more competitive, but for now, it's going to stay likely. Now let's do the likely states for the Republicans. Let's get Alaska out of the way. This is an interesting state. They have a top 4 primary, and it is an open seat, and I don't think Republicans have this one totally in the bag. Without a lot of confidence on who the nominees are going to be, I'm going to leave this rating at likely. Next, we've got Texas. This is Greg Abbott running for a 4th term. Sometimes voters get burnt out on the same governor for more than a decade, but Abbott here seems to be favored, if not clearly favored, to win another one. Again, given the midterm environment, I'm just not quite ready to put this at safe. There's a little bit of caution, but high single digits looks pretty good for Abbott. It's going to go likely. So that state is borderline likely safe. The next 2 are borderline lean likely. We've got Iowa and Ohio, both open seats. Both were competitive in the blue wave of 18, but Republicans held on. Dems look like they've got Rob Sand in Iowa. They've got Amy Acton in Ohio. Republicans looking at Ramaswamy in Ohio, and they could be looking at Randy Feenstra in Iowa. These are right at about 5% for me. These are states where Republicans could get complacent. They could assume they're just going to go red and be caught off guard. Usually the dominant party is weaker when it comes to governor, so that's another reason these are pretty close to being competitive states. I've seen polls that show them competitive as well, but at the end of the day, I think the best guess is they would still be at least 5% for the Republicans. We'll make changes if we need to. Next, it's South Carolina. About 6 months ago, this one looked like it was likely to be Nancy Mace, but not anymore. She's not out of it, but she has fallen. Either way, Dems don't have a huge bench here. Republicans should be likely to hold it, and that's why it's got that rating. Now let's quickly talk about Florida. This one is borderline likely safe. Of course, DeSantis had the big blowout here in 22, 19%. Some weird dynamics happening on the Republican side between James Fishback and Byron Donalds. It seemed like Donalds had this thing wrapped up a long time ago. Dems have to get through a primary. Either way, they're the clear underdogs at best. But because it's an open seat and all the usual factors, there's going to be a little bit of caution. That's why it's going to be at about 9.5% and just barely get down into likely. Two more states in the northeast corner. It's Vermont and New Hampshire. Both of these states have 2-year terms for governor. Phil Scott is the absolute liberal Republican legend in Vermont. If he runs again, he'd probably put up another 50-point margin. Now, if it's not him, it could be his lieutenant governor, but Dems could have a real chance at flipping it. So that's why that one goes likely. Now, in New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte, I think, is carving out the more moderate path. So that's why I think, even though the state is blue on a federal level, she should be favored to win that second term. Now, we've got the most competitive states. Lean are under 5%, Tilt are 1% or less. First, let's do Michigan. This is an open seat. It could be a real three-way race between Jocelyn Benson, John James, and Mike Duggan, the independent. Now, normally independent candidates, they fizzle as we get closer to the election. So it's really tough to rate this one. Duggan should take away more from Benson, but you never know. John James has been through these statewide races before, yet to have any success. I sound like a broken record, but with these expected dynamics, I think this is going to go leans for the Dems. Not overwhelmingly, but 1 or 2 points is good enough. Next door in Wisconsin, another open seat. It's unclear if it's going to be Tom Tiffany for the Republicans, and it's even more unclear if it's going to be former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes for the Dems. It's just too early to say. I'm going to leave my rating here at leans for the Dems. Next, we've got Kansas. Yet another open seat controlled by Democrat Laura Kelly. Given how red the state is, it's fairly likely Republicans are going to be able to flip it. We're again not really sure who the nominees are going to be, but this one is going to go lean Republican. Next, we've got Nevada. Here's an incumbent. It's Republican Joe Lombardo. He's running against Aaron Ford, the AG. This is a clear purple state. Dems and Republicans both elected statewide. In this race, the incumbency factor is going to help Lombardo. He's dealing with the Democratic state legislature, so that also helps. So trying to project ahead, I think he'd win by at least a few points, but you never know. For now, it's going to go leans. Next, we've got Arizona. Dems have incumbent Katie Hobbs. Republicans have to get through that primary. It's another state with divided government, and I think that's going to help the incumbent. This one I've had at tilt for Hobbs. I was close to taking it up to leans. I don't think Biggs is some kind of a super strong candidate in the general election. Yeah, Trump did win the state by over 5, but my guess is enough voters are not going to want to rock the boat here too much politically, and Hobbs would win another term. So it's right at about 1%. It could go up to 2 or 3, but for now, we'll leave it at tilt. The last state is Georgia. It's an open seat. Brian Kemp is gone. Both sides have to get through a primary. So I don't want to make too many assumptions about the nominees just yet. The Dems do have a real shot at flipping this state. I could put this either way, but due to the unknowns, I'm going to keep this at a tilt for the Republicans. So that's it. That comes out to 23 states for the Dems, 27 for the Republicans. There's only one flip on here. That's Kansas. Republicans actually have a pickup in this kind of environment, but they've got chances in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Dems' best bet, I would say, is in Georgia. After that, they'd be close in Nevada, potentially Alaska, or Iowa, or Ohio. Beyond that, there's always the dark horse upsets. Plenty of these are debatable. We should be updating this every couple of months from this point until the election. So let me know in the comments. Is your map close to the map that I've got? Which couple of states do you have a totally different take on? What about the candidates? What about the national environment? Let me know what you think down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.